Welcome, everyone. Check, check. 1, 2. I got audio. Youthman's here. Youthman, hello. So what is going on, everybody? Welcome to this live stream. Sorry, I got notes and everything open on my tablet. Screen's over here, so I'm going to be kind of all over the place. But yeah, it's my first live stream, so technical difficulties will probably be here and there. But thanks for joining. Basically just wanted to do this live stream because, like I said, when I made that video, there are just a ton of movies and discs and everything that we all use to test out our home theaters, and to cover 10 in a video, like those are my 10 go-to, but they're not everybody's 10 go-to discs. So that's why this video will be maybe an hour long. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. I won't really get into it just yet. I'll kind of give people, 5 minutes or so to kind of get in. Looks like we got 6 viewers right now, so awesome. That was 6 more than I thought we'd have. So, yeah, Youthman is here. He's representing Youthman. If you subscribe to my channel or watch my videos, definitely go check out his channel. He is one of the reasons why I started doing YouTube here, and yeah, we basically met a few years ago now, and he kind of showed me like what he was doing and what was all possible. So without him, there wouldn't be a home theater gamer channel. So thank you, Youthman. Just throw that out there real quick. And oh, he says my setup looks so dope. Thank you very much. Just, basically trying to use this as much as possible before we end up moving. So, which will be in the next month or so. So, awesome. We got Del Polanco says, thank you, Brad, for all the REW videos and guides. You're very welcome. REW is very, very, it can be very daunting when you first open it up. I know it was for me when I first started, and if I could just kind of share all of my knowledge with you guys in hopes that you get like better sound out of your home theater and stuff, that is my ultimate goal, because often we can't afford the most expensive new gear that we want, but we can spend a little bit of time and maybe a little bit of money on something like a U-mic to make our current gear the best it possibly can be. So definitely thank you so much. Youthman vids are lame. I don't think so. Trish Pipkins says, my counter says 8 people. I wonder who that is. Oh, that's my wife. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. But yeah, Youthman has helped me tone my lighting, camera setup, etc. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I mean, if people don't know, I went to film school, and I love doing all this stuff, lighting, cameras, all that fun stuff. So I'm always willing to help out anyone that needs help, or just wants to make their stuff look the best that it possibly can. And it can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. Darren Buss, I hope I say that right, Darren Buss. Do you find yourself streaming versus buying physical discs? For the most part, I try to buy physical as much as possible, just because as good as streaming is, and it has come a long way, the quality for me, especially in the audio department, just really isn't there. And then you have issues that you face with certain streaming platforms, like HBO Max's Dolby Atmos streams on a lot of their newer release movies have kind of been lackluster. I think the only one that really impressed me was Justice League, which sounded close to what the 4K Blu-ray does, but not exactly. I know with Godzilla vs. Kong, when we watched that, it was very, very underwhelming. The dialogue was too low. The bass was kind of overly I don't want to say over the top, because the movie is over the top, but it just didn't sound right. And then when I got the 4K UHD disc to compare it to, it was literally like a night and day difference. So yeah, for the most part, I do tend to just stick with the physical discs. I do rip them all to a Plex server, so I don't really use the disc that much unless I want to pop it in, or if I want to watch it that day and I don't have time to rip it, then I will watch the disc. Otherwise, they go on the Plex server and then we just start watching. Moving on, blah, blah, blah. James Lund, thanks for all your tutorials on REW. Very useful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate you coming to the stream. I appreciate everyone here on the stream so far. It looks like we have 16 people watching, which is crazy, so welcome. I know mine is delayed a little bit, so, but yeah, definitely appreciate each and every one of you joining today. Carlos Gomez says, thank you for your help with REW, best instructional videos. Thank you so much. I put a lot of time and effort into those. It really is a lot of fun for me, but also a lot of work. I think a typical tutorial video probably takes close to 30 hours of work to get that, 10 to 20 minute video out. And then something like the mini DSP tutorials was literally, God, I don't even know what the hour counter, but it was high. It took me 2 or 3 weeks just to get all of those videos shot. So, but definitely appreciate that shout out there. Let's see. Odd Bob, welcome, hello. It says, hey man, came across your channel a couple weeks ago and wanted to say that I've really enjoyed your approach to home theater content. Been learning a lot from you. Keep it up. Thanks, James. Definitely thank you, James, for checking out the channel, checking out the live stream. We're about to get started here, talking about some just 4K UHD Blu-ray discs, specifically audio, but we can talk a little bit about video. As live streams go, nothing's really set in stone. We can kind of go off topic and talk about video games and stuff too. But just kind of give people a couple more minutes to kind of come in and check it out, and then we'll dive in. And Trish Pipkin says, you're close to 10,000 subscribers. So exciting. Yes, it is very exciting. I don't even know what to say. That's just kind of weird and very surreal to me, but it's a good thing. It just, all of a sudden it felt like I went from 1,000 to 10,000. So should be a lot of fun, Let's see a couple questions here, or maybe one question. I thought this was a question. There's the question marks at the end. Yeah, Luke, thank you so much for that compliment. Definitely appreciate it. And I love helping you guys get the most out of your stuff. And I keep going back to this thing where I wish I had all of these resources at my disposal when I first started, 20 plus years ago, because it's so much easier it's still complicated, but it's so much easier now to have access to equipment. Even something like a UMIC 1, I think 20 years ago, you'd have to spend a lot more money, and you didn't have the computers and technology we do now to really make use of it easily, whereas now it's you follow a couple YouTube videos, you maybe go on Reddit or AVS forum, and you are kind of set up to where you can get great audio and great sound out of your system. Let's see. Dell asks, after doing bass optimization by using the SVS app and applying parametric EQ, can I simply turn on Odyssey and continue to measure, or do I have to rerun Odyssey? So it kind of depends. So if you're doing bass optimization before, then you may want to consider rerunning Odyssey, just because it will modify that crossover point. So, and it will apply certain things, I believe, to both the subwoofer. It might end up pushing the subwoofer distance a little more than it would if you hadn't done the bass optimization. So I would suggest rerunning Odyssey if you have the time. But if you have reran Odyssey, you've disabled it, or better yet, if you have the Odyssey app and you're able to completely disable the correction on the subwoofer itself, then you're pretty much good to go. You may have to go in and kind of play around with the crossover and maybe add a foot or two to the distance of your subwoofer if you have like a dip at your crossover, but otherwise it will be pretty much good to go. Again, you can rerun Odyssey, but I would definitely recommend if you have the ability to grab the multi-EQ editor app. I think it's $20 on the App Store, and just to disable that subwoofer correction on it. So, let's, all right. So, I'm going to answer these couple questions here that I see, or try to answer these couple questions here that I see. But after that, we're going to get started, and I'll open it up at the end for questions too. So if you would like to ask a question, just put a big Q before you ask the question. That way I see that it's a like a Q question mark type thing. That way I can just quickly see that it's a question. So, Alcazar asks, so what would you say is the best player to use for 4K and UHD? If Youthman would like to comment on this, because I actually have not used any other Blu-ray player other than the LG, oh gosh, I can't remember the model number. That's awful. I think it's the 970, the UP970. It's a couple years old at this point. I've been looking at possibly getting a new player. I really wanted an Oppo, or Oppo, or whatever you call it. But obviously they don't make those anymore. And I think there was another company, and I can't remember the name of it. They make a similar one. It's in like the $600 to $800 price range. Gosh, I can't remember that. But let's see. Anything else? Well, the best. All right. So basically, okay, cool. So we got kind of the questions out of the way. So if you have any questions, I will get to a point where I ask questions near the end, but let's go ahead and jump in. So basically, if you haven't seen the video I made before about my top 10 demo discs for audio, be it Blu-ray or 4K UHD, I'll run over what those were real quick. If you want descriptions of the scenes or breakdowns of that, then definitely check out that video, which I'll leave a link to in the description. I just realized I didn't put one in there. Yay. But basically, I went through The Conjuring 2, Fantastic Beasts, Godzilla, It Chapter 2, Mad Max Fury Road, Power Rangers, Ready Player One, Saving Private Ryan, Tron Legacy, and War of the Worlds. So those are my go-to discs that I always grab when I need to test something out really quick, because I've used those for years now. A lot of them, some of them are a couple of them are recent additions, but most of them I've been using for years, ever since they came out. So Saving Private Ryan, for instance, since basically the late 90s. And those are my go-to discs. My honorable mentions in that video were Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Final Destination 2, and Transformers 3, or Transformers Dark of the Moon. I may have forgotten something in there. I made notes before this, but so you kind of get the gist. Now, obviously, I couldn't cover everything in that video, so here we are. And oh my gosh, I gotta highlight this. Thank you, Youthman, so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your hard work and continue to provide to the home theater community. Excited to see where your channel takes you. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Youthman. If anybody else, I will open this up right now because he did a super chat. I didn't even mention that. I do have super chats enabled. Not required by any means. Just joining the stream and talking to people in the comments. That's all you really need to do. But if you want to show extra support and throw a little money my way, definitely appreciate it. Again, not required, but much, much appreciated. Just want to say hi to a couple people that have joined. James Lunn, Dermaine Miles, Rico Suave. I think I said that right. I am Patrick's Kevin Gardner. Kevin, welcome, my friend. Man, Kevin's been active on pretty much every single one of my videos, so shout out to Kevin. Again, I think I actually mentioned you in a video that you never commented on, so shame on you. I'm just kidding. Robo Patchin, James, Rakuber, I'm not going to try to pronounce, I'm sorry. I'll just butcher that. But thank you guys for joining. So I just ran through the discs that I went through in that video, and I want to kind of talk about real quick the movie that made me get into surround sound, because I think that's important to talk about. I think we all have that one movie that we either heard at a friend's house or saw in the theater when we were younger that made us want that kind of experience at home. And for me, that movie was Jurassic Park back in 1993. I was 10 years old, and I was just wowed the whole time in the theater. And I remember getting that movie on VHS and just kind of, I loved it. I mean, I was younger, but I wanted that extra thing that you got out of the sound in the theater. And the thing is, looking back at it, the theater I saw it at was playing it in stereo or Pro Logic at the time. I don't think it was, I don't think they had a discrete setup, even like a 4.0 or anything like that. But it was just, I mean, I was 10 years old, so, you know, that was like almost 30 years ago. So my memory is probably not what it used to be, but yeah, that's a movie that got me into surround sound. So from then, I didn't get a surround sound system until I was in high school, and I got a Kenwood home theater box. I remember I got it from Circuit City. You guys remember them? And I mean, it was, I think $500, came with like a little 8-inch woofer. But man, I loved that thing. It was my first entry into that. I remember getting a DVD player for the first time and buying all these movies. I got a DVD player at Target, and it was just, yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of obsessed with it. And even then, I didn't know too much about calibration. So imagine my surprise later on when I realized, oh, you shouldn't crank your subwoofer all the way to maximum. You know, this goes to 11. So, but that kind of got me into home theater. And then I mentioned this in the first video, or the video itself, is the movie that made me want to upgrade my system was Saving Private Ryan, which I played over and over again on DVD. I had the DTS version thanks to a friend who gave me that. So super cool. But that's the movie that made me want to upgrade my surround sound system. But back then, I was using basically any DVD I could get my hands on that had good sound that I knew of. So Jurassic Park, Twister was a big one. I still use Twister to this day. That's still probably one of my go-to surround sound demos. Just the opening scene where they're in the house and the F5 tornado is coming through, and her spoiler alert, her father gets sucked up into the actual tornado. That will still rock your room. It's only a 5.1. I think it's Dolby True HD 5.1 mix. It does upmix nicely with the DTS Neural X upmixer, but I still love that movie. I'm hoping that we get a 4K UHD version of that at some point, because the Blu-ray video quality is pretty atrocious. But I use that. I use Stargate, the Roland Emmerich movie, not the show. Use that sequence where they go into the wormhole, or my wife's going to kill me for not remembering what this is called. I know the actual thing is Event Horizon, but yeah, where they go into that, and then you just kind of hear all these whizzing sounds going past your head and stuff. It's super cool. It actually does upmix pretty well as well. And then, I mean, everybody's favorite, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I mean, that was kind of in constant rotation. So super, super cool there. And then let's go back to the comments here for a little bit and check out what's going on. Let's see. Aha! Yes, Ready Player One, the bane of my wife's existence. I've used that opening race scene over and over again for many, many times, and it's so funny that I even get sick of it, even though it sounds great. If I could just take some of the dialogue out of it and just hear the sound effects, I'd probably do that. Let's see, going through here. Oh man, Ray 307 says Congo on Laserdisc at my dad's house. I remember watching Congo. It wasn't on Laserdisc, it was on VHS. And there's that line in the movie about what was it? Was it Mr. Homolka eating my sesame cake or something like that? Yeah, that movie. I actually haven't seen that movie in probably, I don't know, a good 10 years. So that might need a rewatch just to see what it sounds like now. Youth Man. I almost bought a Pioneer Laserdisc in college. Yeah, I remember watching Schindler's List in high school on Laserdisc. I know of all movies. I remember having to get a slip to sign for that because of the subject matter. But yeah, that was we weren't really focusing on the presentation for that one. It was more about like how heavy that movie was. For a musical type demo disc with Atmos, Hans Zimmer live in Prague. Yes, I actually recently got that. I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and I really love the Dolby Atmos track on that. I'm a big fan of like music scores, film scores, and Hans Zimmer is right up there. I got that at the same time I got the John Williams disc that's also in Dolby Atmos, and that's another one that is excellent. It's a little bit different than the Hans Zimmer disc, just because John Williams doesn't really use any electronic stuff, whereas Hans Zimmer, I think a lot of his instruments in there are all like electric. I know he uses electric violins and things like that, just more digital synth sounds, which is kind of his style, right? But kind of different, kind of fills different things with each disc. So highly recommend both of those. And let's scroll through the comments here. Rico, so he asks, what do you think of the SFX sound effects, surround sound in the new Dune movie? Admittedly, I haven't seen it yet. We've been kind of busy with trying to figure out moving and stuff like that. So it is on my list. I do have the disc, but I have not seen it. Actually, the movie that I watched most recently that I had time to was, I grabbed it because I wanted to point something out, was this movie, 1917. I had heard great things about it, and the reason I grabbed the disc is I don't know if you could see it on the stream. It might be kind of hard. But this is brand new, and this little corner just came right off when I opened the package. So I love these. These are great just for that. But I really, really loved 1917, and super, super great movie. It wasn't as violent as something like Saving Private Ryan was, so if you're kind of against, or not against that, but like if that kind of bothers you, it's a little easier to digest. And it's also shot to look like one shot, like all one take, so that's kind of a cool technical aspect of it. But man, the Dolby Atmos track on that, especially like the flare scene, was just amazing. Dell, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Quick follow up to base optimization. After doing so, can I just turn Odyssey back on and follow your video on adjusting distance for the subs? Yes, I didn't see. Let me scroll through real quick to see if you said you had the app. To disable the, yes, I can disable the, okay. So yeah, definitely go back in, make sure that that's disabled, and then you could watch the video on adjusting the distance for the subs. I actually have to do that most of the time for, after I adjust anything with the subs, because it might change slightly. And I'll go back in and maybe spend 30 minutes to an hour to kind of get everything back in there, get dialed in. Sorry. So let's see. I had to put I had to put my system testing on hold for this live stream. Thank you for joining, Kevin. I definitely appreciate you here, man. Thanks for joining in. Funny how I'm using RPO movie streaming on Vudu, then I'm going to test again with a 4K disc. Yeah, it's something that I will do and go back and forth all the time to test things out. So yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Oh, Alcazar, yes. Overlord is actually on my list of movies that we've watched to mention in this video, which I guess is probably a good segue right now. And then we'll kind of go back here and just kind of go all over the place, because that's what a live stream is, right? So let's do that. But basically, first I want to go over, a lot of you have commented on the actual video as well. So I'm just going to run through real quick and see what movies were mentioned in the comments. So that might echo some of what you guys are saying here. So I'm just going from the post 8 days ago. Eric Bass says Pacific Rim, definitely a good one. Pacific Rim Uprising is also a good one. But my hat would go to Pacific Rim on that one, just because I just feel it's a better movie. Cloverfield was mentioned. Definitely can't go wrong with Cloverfield. That is an amazing, that's like a tour de force. I think I used that term a couple times in the last video. But it is definitely a tour de force of just bass and all that, just everything. I don't know if it has an Atmos version, but it should upmix pretty well. Yeah, fun fact, my wife was actually in Tron Legacy. Her voice was, at least, in the Disc Wars scene, because she was at San Diego Comic-Con in 2010. Let's see. Dune is mentioned, the new one, and Blade Runner 2049. Yes, that's a huge one. The opening there will test out even the most capable subwoofers. I know when I was trying out just my old 10-inch PB10, my SVS PB10-ISD, it bottomed out and kind of scared me, and I quickly stopped it. Master and Commander, Cannon's Battle in the opening, yes, that was one I've used for a long time, and I still grab it. I don't have the Blu-ray version, and my DVDs are in storage right now, so I don't have access to that. But that's one I should definitely check out as well. Lord of the Rings, I think most of Lord of the Rings, I know the Fellowship of the Ring, that whole opening, that was mentioned here, but it's one that I use all the time. It has that really cool sine wave. Words are hard. That basically it's like a when he cuts the ring off of. Wow, I need to watch those movies again. It's been too long. I can't. Sauron? I think so. Casino Royale, opening, terrorist. Yes, that whole opening is awesome. Super awesome. Ford versus Ferrari is one that I still need to check out. I haven't. Jumanji. The original, actually, the 4K UHD remaster of the first Jumanji movie with Robin Williams looks amazing. Not to get too off topic with video quality, but that really surprised me and really shows that like Sony pretty much knows what it's doing with their catalog releases. The Martian, yes, The Martian's, I believe the extended edition of the 4K UHD has the Atmos track on it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that's a great one. And Gravity, I have not seen the Gravity Diamond Lux edition or whatever it's called, so I definitely need to check that out. A Quiet Place was mentioned, definitely way up there. I remember there was a scene so I think that's when we first got Atmos, and it was like one of the first movies we watched. And there was a scene where you could actually hear the monster or the alien, whatever, above you, and it really kind of tripped me out. That I think I rewound that scene just to watch it again, because I'm like, this sounds so cool. Invisible Man, I got to vote for that. I have not seen that, and I have not seen A Quiet Place 2 yet. Let's see. The Matrix, yes, the first Matrix movie. I haven't seen the second or third one in 4K. I have seen them, but the Atmos track on the first Matrix movie, definitely up there in terms of remixes go. That one will definitely flex your system out. Transformers The Last Night, and Star Trek Into Darkness. Definitely agree on those. Star Trek Into Darkness. I believe that has the one scene where there's like that explosion in the city that will move a couple things around in your room if you're not careful there. Let's see. Alita Battle Angel. I did get a comment saying people say Mad Max Fury Road barely has overhead effects in Atmos, but it does sound great in 7.1. I can't say that I agree with that, but I've never actually fully tested it out. I do know that it just kind of engulfs the room in sound most of the time, and any type of wrecks or accidents where the camera is placed where it should be, or like close to the action and you have stuff kind of flying at you, there's a lot of stuff going over your head. And then that whole sandstorm, lightning storm scene, there's a lot of stuff going on there too. So, different strokes for different folks. Let's see. Try throwing Super 8's train crash scene into your rotation. So I want to actually talk about that just for a second, because I did use Super 8 for a little bit, but I've never been a huge fan of the sound mix on that movie, and this is like personal preference, but it's very harsh sounding. The highs are a little bit too kind of in your face. There's a lot of metallic scraping and stuff too, and there's slight distortion in a couple of sound effects, even at very low volumes. I actually remember listening to that on 2 different systems and headphones to make sure I wasn't going crazy, and the distortion I was hearing was in all of them, and I was just like, it kind of ruined it for me. It has some great dynamics, but I still feel like it was just kind of overly harsh. It's why I don't use it a lot. And I have the same feeling about a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies post The Dark Knight. So like the Dark Knight Rises, Tenet, Interstellar, all those movies. They are an experience, but they're not my go-to discs for testing stuff out, just because I've never really been a fan of their, I don't want to say lack of dynamics, but that's kind of the only way I can think of it. They're just loud and in your face, which some people do like, but to me, I kind of like movies that will run or scenes that kind of have quiet parts and then loud parts, and then you're not really uncomfortable listening to it. I remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises in IMAX, and just the onslaught of audio during that whole movie kind of made it a chore to watch. Yeah, so that was pretty much all for the comments. There's a couple more, but 13 Hours. That's another one that I have not seen that I definitely want to check out. So those were all the comments there. Let's see. So kind of check out some more comments here. You guys are awesome. Oh, we have 35 people in here. Awesome. Welcome. Let's see. I'm going to go back up to Rico asked, do you have any recommendations for computer games that could act as a really good demo for surround sound? AC maybe. I know Assassin's Creed Origins on PC has Dolby Atmos. And I think saying computer games, you're talking about PC. I do believe it also has Atmos on the Xbox as well. Obviously, the PlayStations do not support Atmos, so no go there, but they do upmix pretty well. That was a good one. Halo Infinite, I'm not a huge fan of that series of games, but the audio on the new game in Dolby Atmos is amazing. Like it's the reason I keep playing, because I'm not really invested in the story and I'm not really a huge fan of the mechanics. But that is a huge game that I would use a game that I would use to test out an Atmos system, because it does have a lot of cool Atmos effects and everything. Youthman, one of my favorites is God of War. Yes, God of War is now on PC, by the way, and it has just amazing visuals, like Youthman said, and audio. It is a slam dunk in the audio department. There's a scene, not to really give anything away here, but there's a world serpent in the game that when he speaks for the first time, it scared me. It literally scared me. And at the time, I just had one subwoofer. And so I actually want to go back and retest that with the 4 that I have, with the mini DSP and everything, because I'm pretty sure it would might get the police called on us. Let's see. Fury with Brad Pitt. Yes. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but I do remember really enjoying that movie. And it's been a while. Yeah, there's the tank scene. I mean, there's a lot of scenes, but yeah, that Overlord, I think someone mentioned before, definitely amazing. Amazing in the audio department. Really enjoyed the movie actually too. I thought it was really good. Yeah, I actually just bought Dying Light 2 as well on the Xbox. Haven't tried it yet. I literally just bought it today. Really enjoyed the first one. Loved the audio on the first one. I'm hoping the second one is just as good. Let's see, the intro in Kong Skull Island, yes, where he comes up as the two are fighting and kind of, I think he slams his hand down on the ground in front of him. Definitely. Rico, just watch Blade Runner 2049 on Friday night. Yes, insane and intense. That opening note as it comes out of as the eye opens. Oh, yeah, and then the subsequent scene where the ship flies over. So cool. Let's see. Make sure you get the Lux. Youthman's talking about Gravity. That is the only one with the Atmos on it. I remember looking that up. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Yes, I believe that it does support Dolby Atmos on the Xbox. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But definitely check that one out. It's actually a pretty good game too if you like the Tomb Raider series. Yes, Kevin. Live, Die, Repeat, which I still call Edge of Tomorrow. I know they renamed that just before it came out, and I just can't undo it in my brain. I think it's technically called Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, but yes, actually it's a great movie just all the way through. There's the opening bass scene that will, I would recommend if anyone checks that out to lower the volume first, because it has been known to kill subwoofers. I remember reading that a few times on AVS Forum. I was going to say SVS Forum. I don't think that exists. Let's see here. Grab it. All right. Through here. Yeah, the beginning of Dunkirk is very intense in 5.1. I think, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I'm not a big fan of the sound on most of Christopher Nolan's movies, and that is no exception. It will hit you, which it's supposed to. That's the whole his whole. I mean, it's the intent of it, right? Doesn't mean that I like it, but it does. It can't. It will. His movies are very. You either love the audio on them or you hate them. I've never found someone that's like, it was fine. I know Tenet, I had a huge problem with that movie, understanding the dialogue, and I just found the bass kind of. It took me out of it instead of drawing me into it. Let's see. Rob, yes, the new Ghostbusters Afterlife Atmos is awesome. We actually watched that on stream. I just recently got the 4K UHD disc as well, and that just kicks it up a notch too. And the video quality is much better on the disc in Dolby Vision than it was on the HDR10 stream that we watched. So definitely check that out. There's a lot of really deep bass in certain scenes in that movie that really took me by surprise. I actually can't wait to watch that again. Let's see here. Yeah, Interstellar. I really loved the musical score in Interstellar with the huge organ that they used, and this is one of the few Christopher Nolan movies that I really enjoy the soundtrack on, just because that organ takes front and center stage most of the time when it's in the soundtrack. Like, it just demands that you have really capable subwoofers, because it will, like, it's so powerful sounding. It's that I'll play certain scenes just for that, and yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, Mike, he asked if my USB flash slot on my Denon plays 5.1 audio files. You know, I've never actually tried that. That might be something I need to try. Let's see. The Witcher Season 2 has nice Atmos. I need to watch the first season. I haven't watched it at all, and I'm a big fan of the games. I just have no excuse. It's really hard for me to get into shows sometimes. Yeah, I don't unfortunately. Good Gamer, should we keep the output in Bitstream or PCM for on PS4? So that's actually a good question. So this gets talked about a lot, and I think it's very confusing for people. But mainly, what I've found is that if you have the ability to set it to PCM, just stick with that. The main reason is PCM is lossless, and that doesn't. I think the confusion comes from not maybe understanding how the game's soundtrack is stored or the sound files are stored on the disc. Just because PCM is lossless doesn't mean that the sounds you're hearing are actually lossless. If they're compressed on the disc in any way, using a lossy compression method like an MP3 or something, then you won't gain any benefit to setting it to PCM. But what you're doing is you're taking out an extra step in encoding it. So you're not telling the PlayStation, okay, before you send this to my receiver, re-encode this to Dolby Digital or DTS. And what that does is it will compress the sound, like not compress the sound, but it is Dolby Digital and DTS are lossy formats. The ones that are supported on the PlayStation 4 and 5 for games. So you are adding another layer of lossy compression if something already is lossy compressed. And I'm trying to make it sound as non-confusing as possible. I'm probably not doing a good job. But basically, setting it to PCM just allows whatever's on the disc to be played without being recompressed. That's basically it. You're getting the best audio quality off the disc that you possibly can, provided that your system can handle it, and then you can always upmix it. I do know that sometimes when the PS4 or PS5 will encode to DTS or Dolby Digital, it will slightly increase the volume, which may be perceived to some as it sounding better, when in reality, if you were to like level match it with PCM, it would probably sound the same, if not slightly better with PCM. But then again, Viz, did you have any audio delay issue with your Xbox and Dolby Atmos output? Yes, to the point where I can't even use it, and I'm freaking mad about it because I've been trying it with Halo Infinite, which is one of the few games that I have that's Atmos, and there is a noticeable delay. I actually think I'm going to make a video about it just because, you know, it's Dolby Atmos is a big selling point of the Xbox Series X, and even on PC. I don't have the same issue on PC, but for some reason, in every game that's not Dolby Atmos, because it will apparently upmix it with the Dolby Atmos app, it is so delayed, like, and it varies between games. So like Halo Infinite, for instance, I've done tests back and forth where with Dolby Atmos, there's probably close to a second of delay from the time that I pull the trigger to the time the sound corresponds on screen. And I've gone into the Denon receiver and stuff and made sure that the sync was where it should be, or turned off basically. And I've tried playing with that, and I just can't get it to where it sounds good. I can either add more delay or no delay at all, and either way, it's still delayed. And then switching over to just PCM, it's 100% right on point. Like I hit the trigger and bam, the sound plays instantly. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there, and apparently it's been a big problem from Googling it for like a couple years now. It even affected the One X. So I don't know what's going on there, unfortunately. Let's see here. So I guess since it's 1:47, we'll just continue going through the comments here, and we'll close out the stream at around 2 o'clock. So if you have any questions, definitely ask them now, and I'll try to get to them as I go through the comments here. Kevin, I actually want to talk about this because I don't dare buy discs from eBay. Far too many trash copy ripoffs. I actually bought a TV series off eBay probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and yeah, I got burned disc, and they weren't even Blu-rays; they were DVDs. So yeah, I don't do them. I don't do that there. I don't use eBay at all for buying stuff like that. I don't think I've used eBay in the past 5 years after that even. The LFE sweep at the VRP logo for Edge of Tomorrow is amazing, and frankly, I was upset to hear it non-existent in the Voodoo UHD copy I have. Yeah, that's kind of a big problem with some of the streaming services. I've read that they apply a filter to their low frequency information. So basically, everything below like 30 hertz or 25 hertz or something like that is completely cut off, which helps save bandwidth for streaming. But it sucks because, you know, if you have a premium home theater or even a decent home theater and you're expecting those, yeah, it's not good. It's not good practice, you know, business practice to me. But, you know, Disney's been doing it for years in terms of, you know, cutting out frequencies below a certain threshold on their discs. Which I saw something about the MCU here somewhere, maybe, not sure. Here is a second comment down from that one. Which Marvel do you find has the best sound design? So Disney has definitely gotten better more recently. Like I said, they have kind of been synonymous with filtering bass and also hard coding Atmos into their discs, meaning that if you have anything more than 4 overhead speakers, say you have 6 or 8, because Atmos is technically supposed to be scalable since it's object-based, you'll only get sound out of those 4 speakers. You won't get sound out of the other, 2 or 4 or whatever you have in your system. But, oh man, probably my favorite one... I really liked the Eternals had some decent moments. Man, I'm trying to. I think probably the first Iron Man. I still go back to that. I remember seeing that in the theater and just loving it. But Ghost. Oh yeah, wow. Ghost Rider. Totally forgot about that. Yeah. The first one, and even though the second one gets a lot of hate, deservedly so, it's I like the sound design and I like some of the cinematography choices they did in that movie. I didn't like the movie, but the sound design in that was definitely definitely good in the second one. Let's see. Kevin, yeah, I'm interested to see how that experiment turns out. Definitely let me know. Even send me an email through the my YouTube page there. Let me know. Ariel says overlooked movie with great sound design. Gretel and Hansel. Is that the one? Is that the one with Jeremy Renner and Gemma Arterton? I hope I'm not butchering her name. I've never seen that movie. Never seen that movie. I'll have to add that to the list if that's the right one. Let's see. I will say a disc that I totally, I mean, there's quite a few discs that I wanted to mention in the video that I just didn't, when you're trying to like narrow it down to 10, it's really hard. A few discs that I will mention real quick is that I do still use is the Metallica Through the Never concert / movie thing. I saw that one in IMAX and oh man, yeah. If you have your subwoofers dialed in there, the kick drum has this kind of power to it that you don't really get in a lot of concert discs like audio like CDs and stuff. And man, it's just really, if you enjoy Metallica, definitely check it out. I'm hoping that at some point we get like a 4K UHD disc of it with an Atmos track, because I feel like it would really rock in that. A couple of the other ones, even though I'm not a fan of the movie, just because I wanted to include a couple of visual movies. Like, I'm not a huge fan of high frame rate, but Gemini Man did have that kind of looking through a window feeling to it, which also detracted from a lot of the action scenes because they just felt hokey and like people were just, acting on a set or on location, which they were. Kind of made it feel like it was like a behind the scenes thing, but it does look really good if you want to show someone your 4K UHD setup and don't want to use like Planet Earth or One Earth or whatever to show off your visuals. The audio on Gemini Man is actually really good too. Let's see. Roof Pizza. Yeah, definitely. The new Mortal Kombat movie for the LFE alone was definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Okay. Gretel and Hansel 2020 with Sophia Lillis. I'll definitely have to check that out. Rob says, just to let the community know, Target is having a buy two get one free sale on movies. A lot of 4K titles starting at $10, up to $30 for new releases. A lot of the movies mentioned here, awesome. Definitely, if you're in the market to buy those movies, definitely check that out. Definitely check that out. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess I'll just address that. I mean, no. No payment required to have your comments posted up. That's just to show your support to the channel if you want to. Again, you don't have to. It's appreciated if you want to, but again, not required. Just joining the live stream is good enough for me. So, thanks for being here, Andy. Appreciate it. Let's see. Is the Atmos on Xbox games via Dolby True HD or Dolby Digital Plus? I believe it is Dolby True HD. But you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm not sure. I do know that that they do support Dolby Atmos on the Xbox streaming apps and stuff like that. So, and when I say Xbox streaming apps, I mean like Netflix and things. But I do know that those are lossy. So I'm not sure if they support lossless or Dolby True HD. That's something I'll have to research. Research and post in a video if when I do a video about the Xbox Series X. Just reading the word Laserdisc warms my heart up. That's what made me love home cinema in my late teens. Yeah, I never, unfortunately, owned a Laserdisc player, although I had 2 Laserdisc movies. I had the Terminator 2 special edition. Oh gosh, which one was it? It was that, and I had a Laserdisc of the first Star Wars movie, like the box set, or I can't. I sold them years ago, and I regret it. And it's I wish I still had them because I know they're worth a lot. But I really like just the actual, that you could hold it, like how big it was. And what I've really missed is, everything that comes out now is you maybe get like these and that's it. With Laserdisc, it was like owning a vinyl record. In a way, in the sense that you had the artwork and, things from all of these, maybe the director or just, man, it was so cool. Because, like, some of them had, like, literally book-size stuff in them, like, just pages to turn. And it was so cool that I miss that. I know that, because of, trying to, be conscious of the environment and everything. A lot of these companies are cutting back on disc materials. I mean, I remember when games came with manuals in the sleeve, and now you don't really even get those. So, but it is what it is. Let's see. I saw a question here. Where was it? Tyler, welcome, man. Thanks for joining. Any plans to try BEQ? I do have plans to do that when we move. I started kind of getting into it, and I don't really have the time at the moment to devote to learning the ins and outs. But once I do, I will definitely check it out, post videos on it if I feel if I feel like it's worth going through the process. If people don't know what it means, I think, why can't I remember the full name of it? But basically, it's a way, I think it's for owners of the mini DSP. It's a way for you to add bass back into movies that have been filtered, which sounds, bass EQ, that's it. Wow, yeah, see? I need more coffee, I think. But yeah, bass EQ. So for owners of the mini DSP, you can load that onto your mini DSP, and it will add EQ based on the files that you download for the movie, I believe. I can't, again, I started looking into it, and then both my wife and I realized we were moving, and yeah, it kind of got put on the back burner for now, but it's definitely something I want to check out. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't know too much about it, and I don't want to give out wrong information, so that is, I'll just stop it there. Switching to the Laserdisc side was an interesting break during the screening session. Yeah, I do remember that. I remember when we watched, I think I mentioned it earlier, I watched Schindler's List in high school as part of like my history class, and I remember that we watched it on Laserdisc, and it had to be flipped halfway through. Good times. Do you guys actually remember when DVDs had, they were like the double-sided DVDs? So like you had the full screen version on one side and then the widescreen version on another, or if like the movie was too long, or if it was like a multi-pack movie or a multi-pack where they had like two or four movies, they would have two movies on one disc, but like you'd flip it. Man, I was always scared I was gonna like scratch the side that I wanted to use. Yeah, I'm glad those days are gone. Let's see. David asks, "Hi, what's your take on Oro 3D?" I want to hear it. I haven't actually had a chance to check out a pre-pro or receiver with Oro 3D on it. But once I do, oh, you bet your butt that I will be making videos on it. So, yeah, definitely. I got a couple more minutes here, and then we'll wrap it up. And okay, Youthman says someone's interpretation of what they feel should be added into the audio track. He's talking about bass EQ, which Tyler mentioned, and basically it goes from he said earlier that there's no standard for EQ, so it is kind of left up to an interpretation of what it should sound like. So that's why I've had some trepidation, if you will, in checking it out. I'm very much a person that likes to see a movie the first time, at least, the way you like it was meant for, or the director wanted you to see it. I know that's, it can come a lot from like your personal preference and everything, but I like to have that frame of reference first, and then go from there. And a lot of movies, I know the Hobbit movies are notorious for having filtered bass. I remember seeing the Hobbit films in the theater and then listening to them and going, it doesn't sound right. It just lacks that impact that the Lord of the Rings movies have. So definitely do want to check out the bass EQ though. So we'll definitely check that out at some point. Kevin wants to know where we meet, so he's buying. You don't want to buy our coffee. It's very expensive. No, I'm kidding. Ray asks, do you have any videos on setting up a Plex server budget and what player and how to rip? So I don't currently have a video on that. I actually am working on that. I did make a video about the NVIDIA Shield, which I do and do not recommend for a few reasons. So definitely check that video out. Their recent Android OS update, I can't remember what it's called, the version, but it kind of messed some things up, and it requires you to do extra things now in order to get Plex to work, which it was very, it was aggravating, because all of a sudden I had my Plex server set up and I use an external drive connected to it, and when I updated, it lost like 3 or 4 of the folders. They were still there, but I couldn't even reconnect them. And apparently, not apparently, there was a setting that you have to go in to allow storage access, which would have been nice to know. So I will be doing a video about that. But basically, the NVIDIA Shield is a great Plex device for ripping discs. I don't know if I'll do a video about that just because of the legal issues that one can run into when talking about ripping Blu-rays. If you own a Blu-ray, you do have the right to back it up and make backups of it. But I may just end up linking to a guide or talking about a guide just because there are certain legal things that I'd rather avoid, in a video. So, yes, what I meant to say when I was talking about The Hobbit as well is when I saw it in the theater, I was still disappointed in the audio mix. I saw it in the high frame rate 3D and stuff in a pretty high end theater, and I was not a fan of that. So yeah, definitely. I'll address this, and then we'll this will be the last question here that we talk about, and then I'll wrap it up. So Dale says, I followed your videos on improving bass by raising your crossover, and my center ended up on 150 hertz. It sounds great, but people have said that it might be too high. What are your thoughts? So if it sounds great and you don't notice any of the bass frequencies being routed to your subwoofers, like if it's not calling attention to itself, then you're good. I had to rethink all of that as well when I crossed over my mains at 110 hertz because, everything that we're taught or everything that we learn from the beginning is, 80 hertz crossover or lower. You don't really want to go higher. And that can be true, but if you're taking the time to do measurements, I think it would also benefit you to take the time to give it a couple days to listen to it and decide, okay, if people say this is too high, well, let me investigate this. But if my ears are telling me it sounds great and I have a flat frequency response with no big dips, then there's no real harm in keeping it at 150. What the videos that I try to do and try to help people out with also has a secondary thing of understanding that I lost my train of thought there for a second. No, that if you're making uninformed decisions, like if someone says, oh, your crossover set too high, it's at 80 hertz, let me set it to 40 because you have tower speakers. Well, that's an uninformed decision. You're not doing any measurements based on that. And you may think it sounds okay, but you might actually be missing out on a lot. But if you're going through the process of setting up REW and using a UMic and going through the videos that I assume that you are, which you should never assume something about someone, but if you're doing that, then you're making an informed decision. And that also means that you can make another informed decision that if you do feel it's too high or if it bothers you, you can drop it down and your frequency response. That's the biggest difference. So if you drop it down to 120 and you're still not getting a good frequency response, then, you can make the decision yourself. Does this little dip here bother me, or do I want a completely smooth line? Can I even hear this difference? So it kind of requires some A and B back and forth. But for the most part, it is, you basically have to go back and forth. And, it's always good to take other people's recommendations as just that, a recommendation, but do a little investigating and see for yourself, can I make this change and will it sound better, or am I okay leaving it at 150 hertz? So, but that is pretty much going to wrap up this live stream here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn some music up here because we're going to end it now. I want to thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for everyone that threw out super chats. Definitely appreciate it. That was really unexpected, honestly. So thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. And if you enjoyed this live stream, you know, and you're finding it after the fact, definitely leave a comment and let me know. And thank you guys, and thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you guys later.